So we have a new QBounti question from Mark Burgess. I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing your name wrong, Mark. He asked, should Tulsi Gabbard push for TRICARE for all? This would differentiate her from Bernie in a very positive way, in addition to her foreign policy. So, for those of you who do not know, by the way, thanks for the question, Mark. For those of you who do not know, TRICARE is what active duty military dependents, retirees, disabled veterans, and their dependents. Is what that is their health care. Now, that's a interesting question because the problem that so I have great TRICARE, but I also have once again my own situation. Now, because TRICARE has in a lot of ways gone the way of Medicare, depending on your very specific situation, it has become too privatized in some of its elements. And it oftentimes is reliant upon the expansion of Medicaid in a given state, which is why it's broken down into regions. So, for example, there's TRICARE East, there's TRICARE, well, there used to be TRICARE North, South, and West. Now, I believe it's TRICARE East and West. And all those parts individually belong to different insurance companies now. So, for example, if you have TRICARE Prime, which is what you would be able to get if you got out of the military and you retired with the honorable discharge, and once, well, if you just buy it outright, depending on your state, it should be about 75 per quarter for yourself, roughly 150 or 175 per quarter for your family. And there's no I think there's only like a six or seven person limit. Now, if you live near a military base, it's a whole different situation. Here's why. I have TRICARE Direct, which means that I can actually go straight to my doctor on a base and get free health care. Now, if you're TRICARE Prime and your address is in a state or a city that does not have a base, you can't just drive to a base and then go get. So it's a convoluted situation, right? So if Tulsi, I think that you're trying to ask, basically, should everybody be able to get the same care as TRICARE offers? If we're just keeping it active duty, right, where everything's taken care of, everything is free, yes, but it would be very, very, very hard to achieve. Like everybody getting exactly as many visits as you want, paying as little as you can into the system, because people forget TRICARE is supplemented by the government. Everybody in your family getting free healthcare, everybody in your family getting access to very specific facilities. Like that's the things that make TRICARE special, are like access to very specific facilities, access to medication overseas, access to clinics, specialty referrals, things like that you wouldn't be able to get guaranteed, unless TRICARE contracts with that particular specialty, or unless your insurance company contracts with that very specific professional. So, as far as Tulsi's plan is concerned, from what I understand, what I talked to the campaign about, it has a few goals. Single payer, where everybody would pay into the plan. Everybody would, whether or not you decide to go to union plan, or whether or not you decide to stay in TRICARE. Like for me, I would opt in to TRICARE. That does not stop me from paying the taxes for her single payer. That's what I'm gathering. Also, she wants to make it so that it's a federal driven situation rather than having the states get involved. Jayapal's bill handles it the same way, which is why I'm assuming she signed that bill. It just gives less choice. Bernie's bill, when it comes to long-term care and things like that, no matter the age you will get some state involvement there through Medicaid. So it's very convoluted, the conversation. Hopefully, what I would like to see, like at the end of the day, Jayapal didn't take any money and doesn't take any money from corporations and pharmaceuticals. Bernie does not take any money from corporations or pharmaceuticals. Tulsi does not take any money from corporations and pharmaceuticals. So what I would like to see is the best version of all three of their bills combined. Take all the elements and combine them together. And hopefully at that point, their legislation will be so good that people don't want to be part of TRICARE, maybe. Like dependents or active duty members would be okay with their members of their family just being able to get Medicare for all and not TRICARE like the active duty members. But overall, I do think there is a few things that need to be addressed that TRICARE, for example, does address. According to both Jayapal's and Bernie's legislation, which are the standards right now, there is no, it says that you can get health care if you're a resident. Now, what is a resident? It said it should be determined, it will be determined by the quote unquote secretary. Now, that's a little murky, right? Because is it a US citizen? Is it a Visa card holder? We don't know. And are we going to, if we're leaving off all undocumented people, are they still going to be paying the tax for Medicare for all? Which is likely yes, because it's going to be across the board, but they won't be able to benefit from Medicare for all, according to their legislation. So I think that's something that needs to be addressed more explicitly, because that leaves room for private companies to exploit them, right? And we don't want that. We want everybody to be able to live a decent livelihood. And of course, we should introduce comprehensive immigration reform to help with that as well. Also, I think it's important to address there was something else. Give me a second. Don't come to me. Oh, money in politics. That is something that's going to be huge. To my understanding, Tulsi also wants her single payer to take money out of politics in some way, form, or fashion. Like out of this, completely take the corruption out of it. You already know she has an anti-corruption bill on the way. She already co-sponsored the move to amend bill, which would take all corporate money out of politics through an amendment, which would disallow them from negotiating prices on behalf of the government. The government would negotiate prices, which would keep prices low, keep prescription drug prices low. So both of those bills do allow for prescription drug price negotiations. But we do need something a little bit more explicit about the negotiation of equipment prices, services, price of services. Because what if, for example, I don't like the government's price? I decide to opt out of Medicare for all, like the network. And there's different loopholes that people can use at that point to exploit by contracting with private insurers, which both Jayapal's and Bernie's bill allows. And then if you contract with a private insurer, and then the private insurer isn't the person that's determining the coverage, it's the clinic and how much it costs and things like that, it's hard to see how that will not be exploited. So I think that we do need to make sure that the root cause of our insurance problem is also dealt with. And even if we did TRICARE for all, like I just said, the root problem is money in politics. Private insurance's influence over our politicians. So even if we get Jayapal's version, Bernie's version, or Tulsi's version, if we don't get money out of politics, it's just going to take them leaving office, a few less progressive Congress people, one or two less liberal-leaning senators, and then our healthcare goes right back to shit. So we need to get big money out of politics, and that's something that I feel like hasn't been discussed enough regarding the Medicare for all or single payer conversation. It's been discussed. Private insurance choice is the issue, and private insurance choice isn't really the issue. Because right now, we don't have much choice. That's the issue, one. And we don't have much choice because of big money in politics. We don't have quality because of big money in politics. We don't have affordable medication because of, once again, big money in politics. So once we take the pharmaceutical money out, insurance, private insurance money out, other types of corporate lobbying out, it should make it a lot more attainable for us to get Medicare for our single payer program that works for everybody, combines the best elements of all the legislation available, and go from there. Hope that answered your question. And if you want to have your question asked, your QBounti question asked, all you have to do is go to QBounti.com, QBounti.com, and the link will be in the description below. Other than that, wasn't more than anything else, people. Find your balance. Peace. Hey, don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you like that segment of Mikasa Sukasa. Also, you can help us upgrade the studio and take this show on the road to cover the on-the-ground politics that you love by clicking on that GoFundMe link in the description and donating literally anything. Anything helps. Also, you can follow us on Rockfin, on Twitter, and on Facebook as well. And hey, more than anything else, people, always remember, find your balance. Peace.